So, hello to you, Jill Tonks, Resilience Coach here. Thank you for listening today. So this is the last of these videos I'm doing for the time being. August is the month that I normally take off, so I won't be working during that period. And to be honest, I've put a lot of content on already. So if you do want more of me, I'm more than happy to pick it up again in September. Do let me know, either leave it on the comments on the box below here, or pop me an email, jilltonks01@gmail.com. More than happy. And if there's anything particularly you want me to talk about, let me know. So I thought it would be fitting to talk in this sort of final one of the series that I've done on a model for resilience and well-being. So I've talked a lot to you about aspects of positive psychology during these sessions. In particular, the one on values was very much and using the strengths questionnaire. That's a core part of positive psychology. And I've also talked to you a lot about how to understand the survival brain, the kind of crazy things that it does, strategies, and you've got tools and techniques to use. And it's really a question of you picking out for you what's useful and kind of doing little bits and pieces. So in my experience, little things make a big difference, particularly when you weave them into the routine of your day. So the model I wanted to talk to you about today comes from positive psychology, and it's called the PERMAH model. And they're 6 letters, goodness me, I can't remember how to spell it now, that stand for certain things. So the P is positive emotions. So there's no doubt in my mind, there's a huge amount of evidence now that the more positive emotions we experience, like contentment, joy, the more we celebrate what's good, the more we have a half-full approach to life, the more of those good chemicals swim around in our system, and those are what keep us healthy, well, and kind of make us embrace life, warts and all, because life is a mixed bag of stuff, as you know. So for me, in order to get to those positive emotions, sometimes you have to do a bit of shoveling of the negative stuff, because our tendency, for the reasons that I talked about on the video on the positive purpose of negative emotions, is that negative emotions tend to make us feel uncomfortable, so we try to avoid them and we try to force ourselves to be positive. And I get a bit frustrated with what I call optimism fascism. And what I mean by that is that if you just think positively, everything's fine. It's not that simple. So you've already got a lot of stuff on how to shovel through that. For me, you can access positive emotions really, really quickly. And I wanted to share some suggestions of that with you. So simple things like I've got lots of pictures on my phone of places, of people. When I'm having a moment and I look at those, that makes me feel connection, contentment, and usually joy. Music's a fabulous way to get positive emotion. I've got lots of songs on my playlist on my phone that remind me of good times, remind me of good people. They shift my state quite quickly. You'll often find me singing my head off in the car to my favourite tunes. I find those helpful. What if at the end of every day you were to find a moment to reflect on the day and think about what's gone well? What have I been particularly pleased to notice today? How have I worked within my values? How have I, if something's difficult, how did I manage to get through that and come out the other side? So at the end of the day, it's a lovely thing to do, to just have a little conversation with yourself before you go to sleep about what is it that you can be happy with. Where have you found joy in the day? What have you done well? What have been the moments of gratitude where you felt lucky? It doesn't need to be anything fancy. I've become an avid bird watcher during lockdown, and I love sitting here in the morning watching the birds and being grateful for nature. So there are some quick and easy way for you to access those positive emotions that have a massive, massive benefit on our physical and our mental health. The letter in this model called PERMAH is engagement. So engagement is about being absorbed, being interested in what you do. It's when you're involved in activity that takes you into what the positive psychologists call a flow state, where you're fully absorbed, what you're doing is important to you, you have a skip in your step in the morning, you look forward to what you do. Now that's not always possible for all of us all the time. But you can find that meaning, and those of you that work in health and social care, you came into this work for a reason, because you wanted to serve people and make a difference. So even when you have a difficult day, you'll still be able to feel engaged and wanting to do more of your work when you come back to those core motivations and what's important to you. And when you access more of that flow state, you are working to your strengths and your values. So have a look at the video I did on the 4 key values that are present in health and social care. Justice, love, honesty, kindness, when you're compassionate and kind and caring. So all of those things will really help you be that much more engaged in your life. And even when something is difficult in one area of your life, you can sometimes get that engagement and that sense of flow from other things in your life. So have a think about how you can have more of that. The R in PERMAH is relationships. So in this model, it's so important to have some close relationships where you feel loved, accepted and valued by others. Those positive relationships make us feel good. They're often a two-way connection with others that's so important to us as human beings, because we gain so much from those relationships, and as we give to other people too, that gives us so much back. So you are the quality of your nearest relationships. So some of you may have challenges in your relationships. How can you use the strengths that you have, your values, to begin to influence and shape those relationships in a way that you would want? And also it's about focusing on what is present in your relationships, because it's so easy when we're not feeling good or we're in negative mode or survival brain to focus on what isn't there. But when you focus on what is there, that will give you an idea about whether that relationship is something you can build and grow. Really important. The 4th letter is M in PERMAH, which is meaning. So for me, meaning means that you have a sense of purpose in your life, that what you do and how you do it has meaning, has purpose, and from that you get a sense of joy and contentment. So for me, every conversation that I have like this with you and all the other people that I work with is what brings me meaning. It's a pleasure and a privilege to be having these kinds of conversations with people for a living. I can't think of anything that gets better, to be honest. And I'm sure you in your work are having those kinds of conversations too. So can you begin to imagine how useful it could be for you to make every conversation meaningful, have a sense of purpose, have a sense of commitment, have a sense of compassion, and enjoy the process of giving to others? And also you can get meaning outside of work. So for me, that's my family, that's my friends. So where you find meaning is what gives you a skip in your step when you wake up in the morning. It's a really important part that boosts our resilience and enhances our well-being. The next letter is A in PERMAH, which means accomplishment. So as human beings, it's really important that we learn and grow. Now, sometimes we don't always enjoy learning and growing, but that sense of mastery, that sense of achievement, of being able to do something that we couldn't do before, being able to find a way through things, whatever it might be for you, whether it's a skill at work, whether it's an instrument, whether it's learning a language, it doesn't matter what it is, learning to garden, learning to paint and decorate, plastering a wall, whatever it is, those things are really important, because as human beings we need that stretch. It's really important for our physical and our mental health. And the final one in PERMAH is the edge. So this is an additional one to the Martin Seligman model, which is where PERMAH comes from. Health is crucial to everything. Your health, your energy levels, your vitality, your sleep, what you eat, how you look after yourself and your self-care is so important for your resilience and well-being. And I was just talking to somebody today who had learned from her mistakes that her things had kind of collapsed around her ears a bit, and she'd gone back to putting back in place a good exercise routine, a good sleep routine, a good routine for kind of doing some breath work and some mindfulness and some yoga. So all those things are really important, because when we tend to not be in a good place, we tend to drop those things that serve us well. And as I mentioned in my video on values, in this world, and this includes me, we are pretty poor at looking after ourselves, at regulating ourselves. So that's an important one by way of maintenance, looking after your health and well-being. So I hope that model, PERMAH, positive emotions, engagement, relationships, meaning, accomplishment and health. Six things, can't count today, 6 things that can really, if you get those things right and continue to work on those, you won't go far wrong in terms of your resilience and well-being. And the rest of it, you can shovel in all of the ways that I've talked to you about on these videos. So enjoy the summer. If you want more of me, please do let me know. Otherwise, it's been really good talking to you, and I hope you found what I've said, and the information and the understanding and the knowledge and the skills, some of the techniques have been useful. And thank you ever so much for listening.